Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new season of our F1 2021 My Driver career mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Season 3 begins today. 3 new circuits on the schedule with Imola, Portimao coming up in the first few episodes of the season. And then of course we go to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia a lot later in the season here, as I'm very excited to get this season underway. Not a single roster change surprisingly coming into this season, but we do have some changes. We have a brand new team to our F1 My Driver career mode, as well as we have a bunch of livery changes, including our own team here with Aston Martin, as we've made some big gains and we've gotten a lot closer to Ferrari and just the other teams in general over the off season after we were doing a great job adapting parts. So we are going to be a podium contender throughout this season in certain situations, but here is a brand new team to our F1 My Driver series. So unfortunately, I couldn't change like the Alfa Romeo branding and stuff, but Andretti has joined Formula One. They are in replacement of Alfa Romeo. To still say Alfa Romeo in the team name, unfortunately, but Alfa Romeo is now Andretti Autosport here, as we are very excited to welcome them to Formula One. They were rumored to be actually joining in real life, and I decided, well, let's make it happen in the game with some mods from Race Department. A huge shout out to James. I'll put his information in the description. You can check out his mods that he made. I'm using some of his livery mods as well as El Mustacho's livery mods as well. Here, as you see, a new livery for Ferrari, Aston Martin, as well as you see the Alpine just got switched around. It is now a white base color, and then the Mercedes has switched their title sponsor to Aramco, so they actually have a silver Mercedes again. A beautiful livery right there. All of the information of the modders that made these liveries and whatnot will be put in the description, but we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump into the start of this brand new Season 3 here in our F1 My Driver career mode here in Bahrain. Very excited to get into this one. This is a track where we usually aren't that great at, so it's usually not something I'm looking forward to start the season at Bahrain, but I was hopeful that we could pull something off here now. And basically, we're fifth in the R&D situation, right behind Ferrari. We're very close with Ferrari, so we're probably going to be able to beat them quite a bit at the start of the season, and they're probably going to be able to beat us quite a bit. So Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull are your top 3 teams. So the only way we're really going to get a podium here this season, at least to start, is if some Mercedes drivers have trouble, Red Bull drivers have trouble, and McLaren. We're going to need all 3 drivers, or all 3 teams, to have one of their drivers to run into some serious issues, or both drivers, for us to be considering a podium. But we're definitely miles ahead of where we were last season, I can tell you that. And we started off FP1 very strong, FP2 was very strong, FP3 was strong as well, and we're going to jump straight through into qualifying. If you remember to last season, we did not make it into Q3 one single time with Aston Martin. I wanted to come in for the first race of Season 3 and make a statement and make it into Q3 here in just our first attempt now. One win last season we got in Mexico there, with a lot of luck involved, obviously. Sebastian Vettel picked up 2 podiums in Hungary, as well as Mexico, alongside of us getting our first ever win in Formula 1. And as we come into this season, we hope that we can both do even more than that. Get multiple podiums for both of us, and hopefully maybe a Grand Prix win for one of us again. But instead of it being lucky, maybe we can get our team good enough by the end of the season to just straight up win. So we made it into Q2 no problem. That was already a really good confidence booster here. I put a second lap in on the same set of tires that I set my first lap on, and we still went P12, quite a ways ahead of that 16th place on back cutoff. So we were looking really strong, and now of course the goal is to get into Q3. Like I said, we didn't make it into Q3 last season, one single Grand Prix with Aston Martin. That was so frustrating, and I wanted to change that. And right off the bat, we were down in 11th place here towards the end of Q2. So obviously I have to make another lap here to try and make it to Q3 here on our second now set of soft tires, and our second attempt are back against the wall to make it into Q3. We set the best Sector 1 time at this point in time, and it would stand, and we would come through nearly 0.4 of a second better, and we make it into Q3 for the first time with Aston Martin. They're going P9. Carlos Sainz there just gets in as well. Tsunoda, Gasly, Russell, Giovinazzi, they would all be eliminated here. I'm not sure who was 15th on the grid, but we make it to Q3 in our first race of Season 3. So already you can see we made a big step up here with adapting those parts going into these new regulation changes heading into this season. So now we start Q3, and I only make one single attempt here in Q3 here. Back against well to try and get the best spot possible here. Sebastian Vettel currently was in 9th place. He was currently on a flyer lap as well, trying to get his best time in and hopefully get towards maybe a 7th or so. I feel like our teams are going to be very close to Ferrari, and we're about to see where we stack up. I should mention, we have the best engine on the grid this season, so that's going to help us out quite a bit on the straightaways. Of course, in Azerbaijan, a track like that, we could be really strong, but we cross the line. We qualify P7 for the Bahrain GP, and Sebastian Vettel pulls out an unbelievable lap and goes P3, and Lando Norris is on pole for McLaren and Mercedes, 2nd for Bottas, 4th for Hamilton, as we get ready to go to the grid here for the Bahrain GP.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. They've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, the rookie, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, and Yuki Tsunoda, Gasly, Russell, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Ocon, Latifi, Verstappen, Mick Schumacher and Lance Stroll, Ireland and Guan Yu Zhou. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
There you saw the grid defending champion Max Verstappen, now a one-time Formula One World Champion, actually got a grid penalty, surprisingly, already in the first GP of the season. So he's starting behind as we move up into 6th place. You saw the 2 Andretti drivers. The brand new team starts at the very back of the grid, 19th and 20th place here, as we get ready to get onto the grid here. Underfield the car quite a bit. We're basically like right on that fine line of being okay. So we are potentially going to have to save a little bit of fuel throughout this race, but hopefully not, depending on if we get a safety car or not. And usually we can bank on a safety car in most of these GPs, but Bahrain usually not known for a safety car here in the F1 game, so we'll see what happens as we get ready to go lights out. It's Norris, Bottas, Vettel, our teammate, and Hamilton, your top 4 now, as it's going to be lights out, and we are underway here from the Bahrain GP, race number 1 of season 3, and it's a great start there for Valtteri Bottas. He blows the doors off of Lando Norris up into 1st, and now Hamilton puts some pressure on Norris there. The 2 British drivers side by side into turn 1. I'm side by side with Sergio Perez. Now you see Verstappen engulfed in traffic right there. You saw the Castro Haas going at it with the Williams, the 2 Andretti cars up to now 18th and 19th after starting 19th and 20th, 3 wide down into the right-hander. Ricardo's going to slam into the side of Perez. He goes around on this opening lap, and a bunch of drivers pile in, including Max Verstappen, the defending world champion, out of the race already on the first lap of the season. Multiple drivers just piled in and are out. The safety car, of course, comes out immediately, and we would see a couple more drivers DNF'd after they assessed that they had too much damage to continue in the race. So we were down to 15 cars remaining already, and here's what happened. Myself, Perez, we're side by side. Ricardo tries to go 3 wide into the right-hander. I go a little bit defensive, but I give him enough room, but he just takes a weird angle into the corner, went up on the curb, slammed into the Perez, and around he went, and of course caused this huge stack-up effect. And on board with Max Verstappen right there, he just plows right into the back of Pierre Gasly there in the AlphaTauri BMW. And here's on board with Giovinazzi, who just like didn't even want to slow down. And then on board here with Schumacher, who was out of the GP, and the Andretti car of Isla as well would be out of the race. So a crazy start. The defending champion is already out. Your season 2 champion, that is. If you maybe are new to the series, Bottas was our Season 1 champion after just an absolute downfall from Lewis Hamilton in the very last part of the season. So Safety car was out, but it would be relatively quick here because the field wasn't too far apart. So as we were coming through to the now 4th lap of the GP, safety car would be coming in. Bottas would get ready to lead the field to the green flag here. Now as we run P5 just in front of Leclerc as well as Carlos Sainz, Perez behind us because he actually pitted for a brand new front wing now as we get back underway. After that chaotic start, I just kind of wanted to keep things calm here as we went down towards turn 1. There you see Norris just tucked in behind Bottas and no one really going crazy into there. So everybody kind of caught the memo there. It's stage or race 1, lap 1, a little bit too crazy. So everyone wants to just keep it calm, make sure we at least get some racing under our belt now. As you see Vettel right between the McLaren of Norris and the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton here. Like I said, Aston Martin has the best engine currently at the start of this season. So on these straightaways, we're really going to have an opportunity to make up a lot of ground. We go to Azerbaijan, we're going to have a huge advantage. And I really think that Azerbaijan, with the engine power that we have in the Aston Martin, we can win that GP. Now to lap 5, though, we actually had Esteban Ocon retiring from the GP. There you see a bunch of smoke come out of the back of the Alpine, and not the start. Alpine is looking for mechanical issues already there for him. His teammate currently of George Russell up there in the 11th position. But Ocon out early here in Bahrain, and now we're down to just 14 cars remaining. Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari at the end of lap 6 now comes into the pit lane. He's going to put on the medium tire as we would settle in, and I was losing ground here to Lewis Hamilton. I couldn't keep up with Bottas, Norris, Vettel, or Hamilton, unfortunately, which was a little bit disappointing here, but we've seen some of our main rivals have some serious issues so far in this race, so we know we're going to at least be on track for a very strong finish, a stronger finish than what our car is capable of, in my opinion, at a track like Bahrain. And if a few more drivers in front of us have issues, we could actually have a shot to get a podium here today. Now as Perez right now behind us in 7th place on that medium tire. There is I saw Hamilton come in at the end of lap 7, so I decided to follow him. We were originally thinking about going all the way to about lap 10 because of the safety car, so stretching out the soft tire a little bit further and then actually putting on the hard compound. But I remember last season the one-stop strategy worked, but I don't think it would quite work the way I wanted to by pitting on lap 10 for the hard compound. So I decided to just stick with the two-stop strategy here with the medium compound. Leclerc comes in behind us there as well. Carlos Sainz already made his pit stop a few laps ago. He was closing in on us, but not close enough here as we exit behind Hamilton. And I was hoping that we could gain a little bit of ground on Lewis, but we definitely gained a little bit, but he still had really good pace. It felt like here's I have a huge moment right there. That's not going to get us any closer. So all the ground that we really gained on Lewis pretty much gets wiped from that moment. Now in a lap later, Bottas, Norris, Vettel, they all come in together and they all leave gearbox to gearbox basically here, and they all come out in front of both myself and Hamilton, who's right on the gearbox though of Vettel down into turn 1, but can't really do anything with them right there. Now every single one of us is going to have to deal with slower traffic, and that's one thing that's going to keep me maybe a little bit closer to Hamilton. That's exactly what would happen. Hamilton struggles passing the Andretti Autosport driver of Guan Yu Zhou, and that would keep me within a second of him. They have a moment right there. Now I look to the left-hand side of Guan Yu Zhou, and we're going to go around him here as we come through this very fast, tight right-hander there. You don't want to touch that curb on the right side, otherwise you pretty much die. So we always try to avoid that as much as possible here. Now as we came through to the front straightaway, we have DRS with the fastest engine in F1 right now. Lewis Hamilton has nothing on us. We're going to swing to the right-hand side and go right on past him and past the 7-time F1 world champion of Lewis Hamilton. Season 2 in our My Driver career mode last season, he started strong. He won this GP, but ever since then he had a lot of issues. He had a lot of bad luck is what Lewis Hamilton had, and he wasn't even a threat to win the championship last season like he was in season 1. So we'll see what he can bring to the table this season. And I mean, you never know when Mercedes with these R&D systems in F1 2021, when Mercedes is going to fall off. So Hamilton could be running out of time to get that 8th and record-breaking world championship. Now 3 wide in front of us, Vettel passes Norris and the number 6 of Nicholas Latifi, a fellow Canadian of mine. Now as they go down into turn 1, you see Latifi is not going to make it easy on Norris, and that brings myself right into the battle. I'm going to go to the left-hand side of Norris here as we're side by side with him, and I'm going to try and make it 3 wide down into the right-hander. We were 3 wide into the same corner earlier. A lot of contact between Norris and Latifi, and that's going to do a bunch of left side wing damage to Lando Norris. So all of a sudden, he's had issues, and we're talking about the way we get podiums at the start of this season is if drivers have issues that are in front of us in the R&D table, and now Hamilton would actually collide in the final turn, same lap with Norris, so they both have to come into the pit lane for wing damage. Absolutely perfect for us because now we're on track just by staying out of trouble, we could very well get a podium here today in the first GP of the season, and same for our teammate of Sebastian Vettel. So new wings go on the McLaren as well as the Mercedes of Norris and Hamilton here now, as things are just working out absolutely tremendously right now for myself and my teammate of Sebastian there now, as wow. Definitely wasn't expecting things to take the turn that it had had here. Bahrain, usually not the greatest track for racing here in F1, but it has put on a show so far here in the first episode of the season. Now halfway through the GP, we were of course getting ready to make our second pit stop soon, but I was paying a lot of attention to these two right here, Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo. They're on the hard compound tire, and they are not giving each other a centimeter of racing room. They can both go to the end of this GP without pitting. Well, Bottas, Vettel, myself, everybody on the medium compound still has to make one more pit stop, but you can see these two know that they could be racing for the win here potentially in Bahrain, depending on the pace that the top three of us currently set, and they are going to not give each other any room. They continue side by side through the S's, a section of track that you don't want to be side by side through as they come through the right hander. Some of them, or one of them has to give, because as we go down into this left hander, a very sharp, slow speed corner, one of them is going to have to back out, but none of them are going to back out. Ricciardo, the Australian, sends it way too deep into the corner. He goes wide. Perez comes out on the top end of that battle, and Ricciardo off track and stopped, and his chances of winning the GP have just got eliminated right there. He finally gets back going. It's been a while since I've seen an AI do that in that corner, but now we come into the pit lane here at the end of lap 18, because I realize that I'm faster than Vettel right now at certain points on the track, so I want to try the undercut to try and get within DRS range. So we come in for our final set of medium compound tires, at least we hope, as we would get very strong pit stop. I think it was a 2.9 second pit stop. Yes, it was. So now the question was, were we going to come out in traffic? I was hoping we weren't, but unfortunately, well, here comes George Russell and Yuki Tsunoda, as well as here comes Daniel Ricciardo, who just had that moment with Perez. He's going to get past us as well. So we're going to have to work our way through three drivers. They're all on the hard compound, so it's going to be actual on-track passes that we're going to have to do, and not just wait for them to maybe come into the pits within a lap or two. So now, as we came through to the next lap, we set the fastest sector 3 time, and here comes Bottas and Vettel. They pitted on the same lap, and unfortunately for us, they both get out in front of the traffic. So worst case scenario really for us right there. Maybe if we would have pitted a couple laps earlier, we could have potentially gotten out in front of these guys. So that was disappointing, but we can't waste any time. We got DRS right on the back of the Australian, side by side into the right hander, a little bit too deep. I'm sideways, but we save it and we get past Daniel Ricciardo. But now the next target was passing Tsunoda and George Russell, and we swing to the left hand side here of Tsunoda side by side into the final turn with him here wheel to wheel there as I go a little bit wide, but surprisingly no warning for that. So we did not exceed track limits in the FIA eyes, and now we have DRS and ERS activated on overtake here, and a huge run on the Alpine driver of George Russell, a huge closing right. I swing to the right hand side, send one up the inside here into turn 1, and we will pass the British driver of George Russell here, and now we are up into 4th place. Who's leading? That is Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Right now, Verstappen, of course, DNF'd on the first lap, but Red Bull still has Perez out there on the hard compound tire, who will absolutely not be pitting before the end of this GP. So he's going to the end, and here's a mid-race update here through the grid. Perez right now out in front by not even 2 seconds, though, over Bottas. So Bottas is closing. Vettel in 3rd, myself in 4th. There you see Ricciardo, Russell, Tsunoda, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Norris and Hamilton 8th and 9th, trying to recover the best they can after that wing damage that they both picked up. So everything's been working absolutely perfectly for us. We've had Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris, Ricciardo, even Perez had to replace a wing early in the race on the first safety car, all have issues, and we know those 5 drivers are all in cars better than us. So that's the reason we're in a position right now to contend for a podium. There you see the final Andretti car remaining in this race, Guan Yu Zhou right now. Not a great debut for this brand new team that took over the resources of Alfa Romeo there for Andretti Autosport. So very frustrating for them, I can imagine here. Now, as we come through to lap 21, Bottas sets the fastest lap. I said, hold up, I'm going to do that actually. So I set the fastest lap of the day, and then we actually back it up the next lap. We go even faster there with a 1:26.575. I was surprised that we were putting up such a good pace. We were the fastest car on track here in these closing 10 laps, and I don't know where the pace came from, because earlier in the race we couldn't even keep up with Lewis Hamilton or the rest of the top 4, and now here we are setting the fastest laps of the race. And now to lap 27. 3 laps to go. Bottas has run down Sergio Perez in the Red Bull on the hard compound tire, and Bottas on the medium. So is Vettel. Bottas gets past, but Sebastian Vettel is right on the gearbox of Perez and needs to complete this pass because Vettel not only have I been faster than Bottas, but Vettel has been faster than Bottas in these closing laps as well. So now as we came through to 2 laps to go in the GP, there's Vettel now on the back gearbox of Perez. He's going to swing to the right hand side. He's going to easily just drive right on by Perez. So now it's just a timing situation. Can Vettel run down Perez before the end of this GP with 2 laps remaining? He's only going to get one shot to pass him, and that's on the front straightaway coming to the final lap with the DRS, because that straightaway on the back half of the track with the DRS, you can't really do anything there against a car that's relatively fast. Vettel starting the final lap of the GP sets the fastest lap actually there. He's right there on Bottas, but not close enough. I'm going to be able to swing to the left hand side and go around Perez, but Vettel got right to the gearbox of Bottas there, but unfortunately couldn't make a look to go for a pass right there. He has DRS again right here, obviously, just not enough right there as he heads down into the right-hander. So it looks like now if Bottas just doesn't make a mistake here, he's going to be able to win the first GP of the season. But what a GP it has been for Aston Martin Racing here. We started our F1 career in Season 1 with the Haas F1 team. We came into Bahrain, I think we finished like 15th or 16th if I'm not mistaken, but obviously a rough season. We came to Aston Martin last season and, you know, had our ups and downs, and we had a lot of bad luck towards the back half of the season, but ended it on a high note with a win in Mexico with a lot of luck on our side, and then just some strong GP finishes in general after that at Australia, Brazil, as well as Abu Dhabi. And here we come through into the start of Season 3, and we are in position to get our second career podium. Vettel as well in position to get his podium in Bahrain now, as it's not going to be a win for either of us, unfortunately, here tonight in Bahrain, but we are going to be leading the Constructors' Championship, which is just crazy to think about here compared to where we were last season. But there was a lot of drivers with issues today in cars that are better than ours, and that put us in a position to get a P2 and P3 finish. Bottas wins the season opener in Bahrain, Vettel second, myself in P3. What a start to the season for this Aston Martin team. We are on the podium for the second time in our Formula One career. An unbelievable night here and an unbelievable start to the season as George Russell wins Driver of the Day as we head to the podium here in Bahrain.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Staying out of trouble was probably the most important factor here. In the race where half the field weren't classified at the checkered flag, you were able to guarantee a good result by basically keeping the car running. With their pace and a decent strategy as well, I don't think the race was ever really in doubt.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
What a GP. Unbelievable. Bottas, Vettel, myself, your top 3. You can see, by the way, the fastest lap, it was 1/100th of a second between myself and Sebastian Vettel for the fastest lap, but unfortunately we lost out to Sebastian on that, so he gets 1 extra point there, so 19-point day for him. But there you see the overall standings, of course, going to be the same as the finishing order here today. And the constructors standings, though, Aston Martin out in front by 5 points over that Mercedes AMG team, so that's going to be very interesting to see how long we can hold on to that. It'll probably be gone after Imola, because I feel like Imola isn't going to suit our car very well, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And I feel like we're going to be actually where we should be on the grid, right around a 5th place car, in terms of that'll put us about probably 9th or 10th on the grid, I would expect. So it'll be interesting nonetheless to see how this next one goes in Imola, but our first time racing there, I'm very excited for it. I hope you guys enjoyed the season opener of Season 3 of this My Driver series. It was a blast to record. It was a blast to get these mods in the game, thanks to the guys, of course, that have those mods on the race department website. Once again, like I said, they'll all be listed in the description. But if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I appreciate you guys' support so much, and of course to the members as well. I appreciate you guys. You'll be at the end of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one for race number 2. Have a great day, everybody.